So a while ago, it was a couple years ago, I wrote the script out to help manage and run Doom wads, and I can actually pull it up right here. If I go into Doom menu, and you see it's got halfway decent theming, somewhat, that fits, and coloring. You can choose your source port and things like that. It then goes through an iWad folder or in pwads, and it lets you select it. If you escape out of it or cancel it, it doesn't run anything. So I think I may have touched on it previously, like very a little bit, but I never really like dove into it, like did its own thing, like dedicated a whole thing to it. So this is basically the script as it stands. I did add a couple extra lines because I left out like PR boom source ports in the help section when I had added it previously, like 2 years ago. Yeah, it's been like this is me just changing it today, but like 2 years and I can still run things just fine. If I go in here, so I can go in and I can go Doom menu, come on, don't be that way. Crispy Doom. And yes, it does take arguments as well. So I can go in here. Okay, Crispy Doom. Apparently that didn't work. I spelled it wrong. But if I go to, let's go with Doom 2. No pwads. Then it pulls up Doom 2. So really, really simple. Oh, I've used it previously in streams as well, so I mean that may be what I'm thinking of. So it's never really had its own dedicated video. Just to illustrate one more Doom menu, and I haven't quite changed it up yet, but this does rely heavily on DMenu and its quirks and theming schemes, which is why I have the Doom menu any, which I'm going to edit up and change for purposes of making it work that way. So when I put a source port in that it recognizes as the second argument, what it'll do is it will pull up, just go straight into the iWad list. So again, it looks through a directory of iWads when you give it that. We can go over it a little bit more in a second. And if I go, so I can pick Bloom, I can pick any number of pwads and it'll keep adding to the list until I hit like done or cancel to bypass it completely. So now we can go in. Oh, let's do it differently. Okay, here we go. So yeah, can see that it's loads the pwad quite well. That one's definitely dead. Ow! Definitely dead. Okay, so yeah. So let us go back into what it does. It'll be easier to illustrate in here. So, I do have some so we've got our source port definitions kind of in here. No PWAD, when you give it that, it basically starts it without the PWAD. So you could, in essence, run this from the command line straight up and skip every step as well along the way. So it does have the standard source port list. So you've got Xandronum, GZDoom, along with, Crispy Doom and Chocolate Doom, and PR Boom Plus, of course. So your ZDoom ports and Crispy or Chocolatey and PR Boom. Pretty standard. I haven't added any other source ports. I think those are the basic ones that most people are going to use. Of course, you've got Free Doom, Doom and Doom 2, the Evolution and Plutonia, Strife, and then a few of the others in Chex Quest stuff. And then HackX Harmony and are in most Linux repos as far as I know, so it kind of looks for those, except in the Doomenu folder that I'll look at in a second. And then Wrecker, because it's kind of one of those that has become new that a lot of people seem to enjoy. So then it goes through and checks for the source ports. So when it goes to pull up the DMenu where you choose the source ports, it looks for which source ports are installed. It looks for the executables and then adds them as it finds them, which is what the command V port whatever does, and then it appends it to the list. So, and then it spits it out into the list for you to choose which one it is, which one you want. And then here, okay, so iWAD's up there. So at the top, you can define your iWAD directory. If you want it different, I put it in .config, and again, I'll show that structure off. So you select your iWAD, it'll list it, and then it has some rudimentary detection for what WADs have certain, or what source ports support what WADs. So you can play with certain ports, and if it doesn't, it'll basically give you notification that it didn't work. So for Crispy Doom, for example, at the time, the Crispy Doom didn't really have any other support other than for Doom itself and Doom 2, and so you basically it would chunk out with PR Boom and all. But now it's actually got Crispy Heretic and Crispy Hexen to go along with it. So let me see if I can pull that up. If I can spell crispy right. Doomenu iWAD.
A few moments later.
That's what I did. So yeah, Crispy Hexen works, so I need to add that functionality to it. And so I have to add Crispy Doom or Crispy Hexen, Crispy Heretic to the list still. So a couple changes over the last couple of years that way too. So the next thing it does is if the iWAD selected was cancel or there's none left, then it just kind of or if it's not either of those two, cancel or it's empty, then it goes on to the next and asks you if you want to select a PWAD, and then it goes into PWADs if you select yes. Otherwise, it just runs the source port. And then from there, it launches it up. So I've got a lot of very heavy DMenu stuff in here for the theming. You can see NB, NF, SB. I was looking around to see which other menu options have that specific, those specific flags for theming. And there are a couple of them BE menu and what? Yeah, that would be like the only other one, and that one works under Wayland as well. So, and then most of the other ones, like SL menu and so on, have the -p option for you to give it a prompt. But there are quite a few that have like a -- prompt thing for it, and DMenu doesn't really have that as far as I can tell. So if we go into man and go DMenu, it gives us that prompt option here. We can go and look at VE menu, and we've got the same thing for the prompt, the lowercase p. Rofi was a bit different. It uses its own, what is it? I believe this is the first one where I looked at it, and it had the - prompt option, or it might have been under the D. So, it does do the -p as well. So you can give that a prompt as well the same way. Oh, it was like FZF, if you want to use that, was the one that had the - prompt thing, and which other ones were there? There were a couple of them. But SL menu does kind of the same thing. So I was kind of trying to make it, as I was looking at the anyone option, that was one of the other things I was looking at. So theming in any would be dialed back a lot. And Rofi depends on its own theming scheme, so that means that you're basically theming it or otherwise yourself. So I have put basically all my iWads and PWads into a Doomenu config folder right here. So iWads. So of course these ones are basically a whole bunch of iWads that I've downloaded otherwise. Some of them are somewhat debatable whether they're actually like iWads or not, but yeah, a lot of them work pretty well. Mostly Doom, Chex Quest, and the standard ones. Some of the others are debatable, but I haven't added functionality for the dehacked patches, but most source ports basically can take those and figure out what to do with them automatically. Then here's my PWads, and those two are separate folders to keep them separate so that you know which one is which and can tell the difference. So that's basically the folder structure. So yeah, that's basically Doomenu. I'm going to create a separate repository because I'd had the script in the gist in a GitHub gist for quite a while. So this will become its own repository with a separate, like, somewhat menu independent script to go along with it. So if you're interested in something like that for a mod loader that uses DMenu, it's pretty lightweight that way, then yeah, go have at it. It's under WTFPL, of course, and so you'll have like the one that relies heavily on DMenu stuff and the one that doesn't really require any DMenu stuff, but I will add in like a theming variables and whatnot anyway. And that'll also make it easier to add a README as well, so that can be explained how to use it. And so yeah, if you enjoyed, find it helpful, or you're looking for something like this, leave a like, whatever, feed the algorithm, do those kinds of things, join the chat places, and I will see you guys later.